Hello everyone and welcome back to MixBuzz TV mixing and mastering tutorials on YouTube. First of all, let me thank you all of you guys once again for your support. We received such great feedback, the channel keeps on growing and we are able to keep making great content for you because of that. You sharing the videos and your likes are absolutely vital for the channel. But let's get to business. With this video I want to start talking about what I consider one of the most important aspects of mixing, and yet probably the most overlooked, and that is automation. There is no plugin, no piece of hardware, no other trickery that will inject life and excitement into your mix like automation does. And by automation, I speak mostly of volume automation, usually done on groups like drum bus, guitar bus, strings or key groups, and single key tracks like vocal or bass or snare. But not only that, automations are essential to give life to a mix, and thanks to digital, nowadays we can automate pretty much anything, effect parameters like tail of reverbs, delay feedback, or automation on stereo wideners, EQ automation, and so on. As you see, the subject is insanely deep, and we are going to upload videos on specific types and examples, different options that you have for automation in the next days, so stay tuned for that. But for this video, I will stick to the one automation move that, in my opinion, will not only get your feet wet if you haven't done volume automations before, but this is the automation move that will most noticeably impact your mix with relatively little work and effort. And that is two-bus fader riding. Yeah, automating the volume on your master fader. And I know many of you already do that, and you're probably saying, duh. What's the news? Well, the twist is that you can do it in two different ways to achieve two different results. And the difference between the two rely on how Pro Tools handles the plugins on the master fader. In Pro Tools, the plugins are all pre-fader for all the tracks, meaning the processing occurs before the fader, and so by changing the level of it, you don't affect the level of the signal going into your plugins. For example, if you have a compressor and you're knocking 60 dB of gain reduction, if you turn the fader up, you're still going to see the same 60 dB of gain reduction, no difference, but you will be raising the volume of the track. On the master fader instead, the plugins are post-fader, and you can't change that. So if you have a compressor on your two-bus and you push the fader up, you will be driving the audio harder into the compressor, which will compress more. And this is one of the reasons because at the bottom of all my mixing windows, you see a stereo master fader where plugins are post fader. And that is routed to what I call a mix bus track, which is a stereo aux track where plugins, if I have any, will be pre-fader. And then from the mix bus track, I go to the print track mix, which is an audio track where I just print the mix. So by putting my plugins on the master fader, by having the mix bus track also, I can decide which option to use when I'm automating my two-bus level. Or I could even do both. Now, automating the level of your master fader is a lot of fun. It's easy to do and it can dramatically change the impact of your mix within few moves. I can't teach you when to do it or how many dB up or down you gotta go, because that depends on the track and every time is different. But by deciding if automating the level of your master before hitting the compressor or after, you get completely different results. Now, I like both, but Andy Wallace, if you don't know who Andy Wallace is, quickly Google his discography, I'll wait. Yeah, so Andy Wallace says, if I automate my master fader by 1.5 dB is because I want my mix to get 1.5 dB louder. So what does he mean with that? That he's not automating the master fader. He's automating after the master fader, Pro Tools speaking. So after the compressor, he's not driving the audio harder into the compressor because that will give you a more compressed, a more aggressive maybe sound, but will not be so dramatic as actually have your mix 1.5 dB louder, okay? And on top of that, you just simply don't want your mix to get more squashed than it is. And this is the difference. Automating before the compressor will give you maybe more aggressiveness and more density. It might sound good, it might not, but automating after the compressor will be way more dramatic and impactful. So let's quickly do that and see how does it change. Let's try to automate the master fader first. So this would be the effect of automation pre-compressor. We put our master fader on touch. We are in gain reduction for the metering, so take a look at the gain reduction here while I'm automating this master fader volume. Okay, so this would not be the automation that I would do on the song, but it's just to show you. So as you can see, if I put the automation on off, so it won't read my automation, look at the gain reduction. We have 1.5-ish dB of gain reduction. If I put it on read, so it will read my automation. Okay. It will raise in volume a little bit, but mostly it sounds more compressed, more aggressive. If you hear the snap on the snare, it's like a punch in your face. And sometimes it might work, sometimes not. But what I want to do now is to do pretty much the same automation on the mix bus fader, which will be post compression. And what I'm going to do instead of rewriting it is just selecting the part, choosing copy special, going to track below and paste special. And I have the same automation I just written in the master fader on the mix bus fader. So this up here would be pre-compressor and this is post-compressor. So let's put this on off so it won't read the automation. And let's hear the difference. As opposed to this one, which would be pre-compressor. Okay, you hear how much more dramatic is the mix bus automation. It's just volume and obviously is way too much, but it's just an example. The mix becomes immediately bigger instead of the pre-compression automation, which, yes, it gives you a little more push, but is like choked. It feels like the mix wants to break a wall and the wall is not breaking. So in my opinion, I find myself liking the automation post whatever plugin I have on the 2 bus. Okay, so actual volume automation. Let's go to this breakdown section here when there's a stop and go and then we start again. Okay, so as is a little weak. Okay, it can use a little help. So we'll do that again. We'll try to do the master fader pre-compression and post-compression on the mix bus. Okay, let's hear the difference. Put the automation read off and on the mix bus. Let's get there from a little earlier. And again, as I said before, the mix, it just changes dramatically doing the fader automation after the compressor, because especially in this case, this song was already pretty squashed on single elements and groups like guitars and drums. There was a hefty amount of compression overall. And also on the 2-bus, there was a hefty amount of compression, so it was already pretty compressed. And driving a couple of dB more into those compressors, it makes the track sounds a little too squashed. And most important, it doesn't give you this dramatic effect of what the fuck just happened, okay, that the mix bus volume automation gives you. But both techniques are used and both techniques can be effective. Anyway, this is it for the video. This is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. This is really something I highly advise you to master. Automation. Start with a 2-bus, because in my opinion is the most simple way to, once again, give your mix movement, dynamic, and power. Obviously follow the arrangement, follow the feel of the song, but 1.5 up to 2 dB of automation on your master fader can change dramatically your mix. So this is it for today. We will have a lot more videos on automation, on single tracks and groups, because I really think automation is much more important than what plugins or what EQ or what compressor you use on your mixes. If you like this video, please click the like button. It's very important for the channel. Share the videos on your social media and forums. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time.